World War II. People today say these words so casually, like it is just another chapter in a history book. But the men who were trapped inside that storm knew it was nothing ordinary. Because for them, it was not just a war, it was a world collapsing. Even the soldiers who survived carry memories that still shake their hands when no one is watching. And the ones who never returned left behind echoes that history can never silence. Today's generation knows the term, but they do not know the sound. They can say World War II, but they cannot feel what it meant. They have never heard bullets tearing through the air so fast that a soldier's heartbeat sounded louder than the gunfire. They have never felt the soil trembling under their boots while the sky screamed with metal and fire. They have never held a rifle that was shaking not because of the cold, but because death was standing only a few feet away. When this war began, it did not start like a story. It started like an explosion ripping the world open. And today, on Mental Flight, we are not here to give you a simple explanation or a classroom lesson. We are here to take you inside that war. Inside the fear, inside the chaos, inside the moments where men had seconds to choose between living and dying. This is not just a documentary. This is the closest you will ever come to seeing World War II the way the soldiers saw it. So sit tight, because what you are about to witness is the real face of the most dangerous war in human history. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the people who lived it never forgot its name the first day of battle. The morning mist barely lifted when the earth began to shake with the first roar of artillery. Soldiers ran into the streets, their boots sinking in mud and debris, rifles clutched like lifelines. Screams pierced the fog as shells landed meters away, turning buildings into rubble and dreams into dust. Some men froze, staring at the horizon, their hearts hammering, while others ran forward with nothing but instinct and courage. Officers shouted orders that were half heard, half drowned in the chaos, as the smell of smoke, sweat, and fear filled every corner. Tanks rolled like unstoppable monsters, crushing walls and anything standing in their path, while reconnaissance planes traced the battle below, their cameras recording every scream, every fallen friend. In cellars and basements, civilians huddled, covering their children's ears, counting seconds like lifetimes, praying for someone, anyone, to survive this madness. A young private caught in the crossfire ducked behind a shattered wall, clutching a letter from home, wondering if he would ever see it again. A sergeant's face, streaked with dirt and blood, yelled at his squad to move forward, even as the sky itself seemed to be raining fire. Every heartbeat was a battle, every breath a victory, every step a gamble between life and death. And in the command tents, high-ranking officers pored over maps, pointing at lines in cities, making decisions that would cost thousands of lives. Unaware of the fear, the blood, and the sweat that each order would unleash. This is the reality of World War II, the first day that set the tone for years of chaos, courage, and unimaginable loss. The battle raged on. Smoke curled across shattered streets, hiding shadows of men who moved with silent precision, trying to survive each second. A young soldier crawled through mud, clutching a wounded friend, feeling the warmth of blood and the cold of metal around him. Every corner held danger. Every broken window was a potential sniper's nest. Above, fighter planes screamed, diving through clouds, their engines a deafening warning of destruction to come. In the chaos, officers barked orders that were nearly impossible to follow, and squads fractured under pressure, some running, some falling, some refusing to move. Civilians peered from ruined doorways, faces streaked with ash and tears, holding on to what little hope remained. Mothers pressed children against the walls, whispering prayers no one could hear. In the distance, tanks crushed barricades, their treads eating away at anything in their path. Soldiers fired back, hearts hammering, hands slick with sweat and blood, knowing that each shot could be their last. Some froze in terror, others acted on instinct, their bravery and fear intertwining so tightly that it was impossible to tell them apart. And yet, amid the screams and rubble, small acts of humanity flickered: a shared water bottle, a whispered word of encouragement, a hand squeezed to tell a friend, "I am still here." But the war was merciless. Every second demanded decisions that would shape lives, determine death, and leave scars that could never heal. This was no longer just a battlefield, it was the essence of survival. The raw truth of men facing the collapse of their world as the battle stretched into the next phase. The strategy on both sides became clearer. German commanders focused on speed and shock, pushing their armored divisions forward in tight formations. Their tanks moved in groups, protecting one another while breaking through the defensive lines. Behind them, infantry squads advanced carefully, using buildings and trenches for cover. Their goal was simple: reach the center of the city before the defenders could reorganize. On the other side, the defending forces relied on patience and positioning. They placed machine gunners at higher points, watching every street from above. Snipers took positions inside half-ruined buildings, waiting for the right moment to slow down the German advance. Engineers set traps and hidden explosives along the narrow streets to block the tanks and force them into predictable paths. Every move was calculated to buy more time and weaken the attack. Meanwhile, inside the command tents, officers studied maps covered with red and blue lines. Reports came in every few minutes. One street lost, another taken back, a tank destroyed, a squad missing. Decisions had to be made quickly. Reinforcements were sent to the left flank, where the German push was strongest. Artillery units received new coordinates and opened fire to create a barrier between the incoming armored units and the infantry behind them. On the ground, soldiers felt the pressure tightening. They could hear tank engines before they could see them. The defenders fired anti-tank shells from hidden positions, hoping to disable the enemy before the next wave arrived. Some tanks were hit and burned, blocking the road. Others kept moving forward, crushing debris as they advanced. Civilians who were trapped inside the city tried to escape through underground tunnels. Guided by soldiers who knew the routes, every explosion shook the walls. But the evacuation continued because stopping meant death. As the hours passed, the battlefield changed. The Germans gained control of the eastern district, but they lost several armored vehicles in the process. The defenders held the western side, using narrow streets to their advantage. Neither side had won. Neither side had broken. Both were bleeding strength, waiting for one mistake that could decide everything. This was not chaos anymore. This was strategy against strategy, mind against mind. And every choice made by a commander shaped the destiny of thousands. The battle has ended, but the echoes remain. Thousands of lives were changed, countless stories of courage and loss written into history. This was not just a war. It was a test of humanity, a moment where bravery and fear collided. Remember the lessons of the past, because history shapes the future. If you found this journey into World War II powerful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of courage and leadership. And on the end screen, check out our next video about another extraordinary leader, Brahim Traore, a young leader making a mark in his own world, just like the heroes you saw in this story. See you there.